Whoa. Hey, Comanche, can you hear me? Dawson, are we live? Oh, hey, Alexa. Dawson's giving me the finger. What? Hey, everybody. Quiet? Are you telling me to be quiet?
I'm not sure.
Quiet, Alexa. Stop. Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. Very sorry.
Like Mr. Boyd said, I want to run a transparent organization, city council. Everybody should be able to come in and voice their opinion. And my job, as I'm elected, would be get this town back to where it should be. The streets are dangerous. We have dangerous structures everywhere. Sidewalks, they haven't been touched in years. We've got problems and stuff where this is what our tax dollars are supposed to pay for. This is what the budget starts at. It's maintenance, street maintenance. That just cleaning the gutters stops the erosion from our streets. And you can tell that hasn't happened in years. There's trees growing out the gutters in some of the streets. They're pretty bad. And the chug holes are getting worse. After the rainfall we had last night, just a night street long, I got 6 new chug holes. It's getting bad and even all terrain bigger. But I agree with everything this board is saying. We need to dig down deep and fix our city. There's a lot of issues. And I think Mrs. Boyd would be excellent on the team as well as everybody else. I wish we could all be and pull together and fix our town. If we got more residents coming in, these empty lots, these buildings that do need to come down and build new homes there, then we can get new business wanting to come in and do business because we got the population will give them the money, the income to do business. And I've talked to a lot of business owners here, and they had a good day at $100 a day. I had a business. If I didn't make $1,000 a day, I was going broke. It's just that simple. Everybody, when you're in business, everybody's got their hand out for money. So, for some reason, everybody thinks that if you have a business, that you're rich. You're not. Nowhere near it. By the time you finish paying all the taxes and everything, you're not left with much. So, thank you. Thank everybody for showing up, and I appreciate it.
Did you just say that I'm on, Dawson? Dawson, can you hear me? Hello, Comanche, Texas. This is Tom Dwyer from Pennsylvania. We have an audience all over the country and the world watching right now. And Dawson, if there's any way you can help us out, the people in the chat are saying that they're having a hard time hearing.
Try that.
Well, I hear you fine. I think it's when the candidates are speaking. Can we turn the PA system up on the candidates' mic by any chance?
Try it now.
I would have to. Can we get one of the candidates to test the mic?
Pick it up and talk. Yeah.
Test 1, 2, test.
Oh, that sounds great. Now why is that so loud? That's fantastic. Great. Okay. Guys in the chat, if you let us know, that should cure your problems in the chat. All right. Welcome everybody to the town hall meeting in Comanche, Texas. My name is Tom Dwyer. My sidekick, sadly, is not with me because for some reason hackers are having fun on the internet tonight. This is take number 2. And I hope that we do you guys justice. Can you guys hear me okay? Dawson, can they hear me all right? All right. First of all, I want to say a big shout out to the Comanche Chamber of Commerce. You guys have a video on there that makes me want to move to Comanche when I retire because just like you guys in my area, I grew up in a day when everybody said yes, ma'am, and no, sir. And just a big shout out to you guys for that. I missed the opening statements, but I did catch a little bit of the end of all that. And Dawson, again, I need your confirmation that they can hear me okay. Give me a thumbs up or something.
Hey, Tom, it's Mary Boyd. We can hear you.
Oh, hi, Mary. Great. Thank you. And thanks for speaking for Dawson, because it seems like he's voiceless tonight.
Yes, he's got a little bit of a frog this afternoon.
Yeah, God bless him. Okay, so thank you, Mary, for letting me know we're good. Okay, so how we're going to do this is I've gotten a couple of questions via residents of the community, and they're directed at various people on the board there, all the candidates, mayor. By the way, I want to say hello to the mayor. Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Welcome to Comanche.
Hey, well, digitally anyway.
It's via satellite.
Yeah, even though this is the future. I don't think this has ever been tried, and you know what? It may never be tried again after this. But sir, you have a beautiful little city, and it's a lot nicer looking than our city. I think little towns and cities all over the country are having a lot of the same issues that your city's facing. And that's why I thought it would be wonderful to be involved in this, because I thought it would be a learning experience for my 15-year-old daughter, who is watching somewhere. I don't know where she is. Hello, daughter. Mayor, can I ask you, you've been mayor how many terms?
4 terms with the 2-year terms, and so I've had 4 terms.
Okay, so I'm going to direct the first question to you. This came to, I don't know, I didn't really get everyone's name. Some people asked to just stay anonymous. I think I'm going to throw the first question at you, okay. and then we'll hit, we have Mary, and the other gentleman's name up against you is?
Mike.
Mike. Hi, Mike. How are you? Hi, Mary. Okay, Mayor, the first question, let's just get right to it. Oh, real quick, did we do a Pledge of Allegiance?
No.
Do you guys mind if I start that? If anybody could stand, can we do that and then maybe get a quick prayer before we get moving here? All right, I'm going to put my hand on my heart. I'll start this. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, now I believe, Mary, if you could speak for Dawson with no voice. I believe we have someone from the fire department that'll say a short prayer.
Yes, sir, we've already done it.
Oh, you've already done the prayer?
Yes, sir, we've already done the prayer.
Well, okay. Well, we can never have enough prayers, but okay, cool. This is, okay, we can get right to it. Okay, so Mayor, you've been in 4 terms, 2-year terms, correct?
Yes, sir.
What would you say over the last 4 terms as being mayor of Comanche? What would you say was your biggest mistake you've made? You wish you could have done it better?
Well, we've talked about this already, and when I first became mayor, one of the things that I just like Mike Winslet said, he talked about the streets. Matter of fact, I rode through the town with our public works director, and he showed me, a lot of the problems that we had, and I wanted to fix that. And I don't know if you can call it a mistake, but I do know this, that we were piecemealing everything when it came to paving the streets. When I became mayor in 2011, the amount of material that we could pave 7 blocks with, I think at that time, and that ran about $95,000, which was, is just about all that we could budget for it, particular year. And that has turned into now only paving about 3 or 4 blocks. I wish that, it seems like every time we start to talk about streets or infrastructure like that, we get sidetracked with something else. And truthfully, like I said, I don't know if you call it a mistake. I guess the mistake is that that I didn't pursue that hard enough. But if you want to know the real truth about why I decided to run for a fifth term was we do have a street audit going right now. And we've had our city engineers actually come in and lost in some of the other issues that we've had recently is the fact that they put out traffic monitors so that we can identify those streets. And we've even talked as a council that not just using the streets that they have indicated needs to be improved, but trying to make it an even larger project, and then trying to decide how we're going to fund that, because we can't continue as a community to always be behind the eight ball or lose ground on our infrastructure, because that's what we do. When I became mayor, I'm not sure we had one school bus that ran through our streets. Now we have school buses on nearly every street in town, especially the back streets, and some of those streets that really need help. And we run our trash trucks through town, on and on. We run our fire trucks through town, and they take a beating. And so if we're going to do that, then we're going to have to get better at it. And if I mean, that's an issue that I'm locked in on, and I wish I had done more earlier. Is all I've got to say.
Okay. Mayor and everyone else, please, I'm going to ask, and I think Mayor did pretty good there. I'm going to ask that you guys keep your answers to under 5 minutes, under 3 preferably. If anything gets a little bit dicey or a little
Can you tell me
heated.
how long my answer was?
No, your answer was great. It was roughly
Oh, okay.
around your answer was roughly around 3 minutes. I'm just letting you. I just know that we're going to have a lot of questions here. So,
Right. Okay.
you know, I'm going to. This is a question I have for all the candidates for mayor and you, Mayor. But your question is going to be. It's going to be a little different since you're the mayor. Moving forward, if you're elected. What are your plans? You know, what are you going to jump on straight at? I mean, I know from watching your meetings, there's a lot of talk about this temporary city secretary, city manager. Am I right, Mayor?
You're right, and just to be real honest with you, I'd rather not talk about personnel, but I will say this, and I think most of the people here know this. And since I've been mayor for 8 years, we've had 6 different city secretaries.
Wow.
And so, you know, I know that there's questions about the one we have currently, but I will also say this, that the other 5 also had questions in their regard. I mean, that's a tough position.
Okay. Okay, really quick. The question that's coming, and this is molded from me and questions coming at me through email and through instant messenger through people from Comanche who friended me. They want to know, why has it not been a priority of the council or the mayor to get these positions filled by capable people? And you know, why that was the question. Why was it temporary? And then the other candidates, you know, what's your plans? What are your plans if you're elected? For these positions? And I guess I'll just let the mayor finish, and then he can pass the mic on to Mary or whoever's next in line.
Well, first of all, when I became mayor, we had a gentleman that had been here, I think, 30 years as our city secretary, and he got very sick, and it was very sudden. And to tell you the truth, for about 6 months, I almost served in that capacity, not on a daily basis, but I did serve in that capacity through one budget summer, and then we hired a gentleman. He resigned his position for another position, and then we had 2 interims, and then we hired another gentleman that stayed for about 2 years. He got another. I think he got another. He resigned, got another city secretary position, and then we're on our current interim secretary.
Okay, so So why was our secretary? I guess I would imagine the question is from some of the community is why was there not just a permanent secretary hired?
This time,
Yes, sir.
well, for one thing, uh, the lady that we have, and like I said, I don't want to talk about personnel to too great of an extent, but she had a lot of experience in municipal governance and um, organization and that sort of thing. And through some of the other uh, city secretaries, she'd been a great resource for us, and so we decided to use her as an interim secretary.
Okay, Mayor. I'm going to ask you to pass the mic, and then Dawson, would you please get ready with somebody in the audience with one of the first questions from the audience, please? Thank you, Mayor.
Hi, Tom. Mary Boyd, would you like me to address your questions as well? Are you ready for that?
Absolutely. I'd like your opinions on the whole temporary secretary issue because that's been hit me hard in messages. And yeah, and then also, if you're elected mayor, the real question I want to ask all you guys for mayor is why do you want to be mayor of Comanche, and what's your plan? But please please hit the subject of the secretary up because it's a lot of people are messaging me about the temporary or the non.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, Tom, Comanche has a lot of, I always like to couch them as opportunities that have, priorities we need to deal with. Certainly, having a permanent city secretary is a top priority for this community so we can get some stability. If I were elected, that would be one of the top priorities is to look at what candidates there are. Certainly, the interim would have an opportunity to apply, but we go through that recruitment process. I do have a lot of respect for what Mayor Clifton was saying in that, we are a 3-light town. I love this 3-light town. We're a town of 5,000 people. We can't offer huge salaries throughout the country. And so it is challenging at times to get talent and somebody that's willing to live in a small town. But as you said earlier, this is a great place to live. And maybe you can help us help recruit and let the country know this is a good place to come and live and raise their family as we search to fill that position. The reason I'm running for city secretary, no, let me correct the record. On the record, I am not running.
Excuse me, Mary. Did you, Mary, real quick, Mary?
Seriously, the reason for me wanting to run for mayor is I do have a lot of background in local government and state government and federal government. And I think with my experience in running programs and organizing that I can bring forth putting together community development plans so that we can deal with the infrastructure issues, look how we're going to fund it. We've got big tax issues that we've got to work with the legislature. And with my experience in government regulation and policy, I feel like I could probably help the community and move us forward.
Okay. All right, Mary. Thank you. Please pass the mic.
Yes, so stand by.
We're passing the mic.
Sorry.
There we go. Well, I really don't have anything to say about our interim secretary. Kind of go with our mayor here. I don't know that much about it. I do know the way I'm trying to run things is I want to be the full-time mayor. So it's different from having an interim secretary. It's really not needed. The secretary is needed, but interim, somebody telling people what to do. What we have right now is not working. You can look at our city, it is definitely not working. And I'm leaving it at that. That's why I'm running for mayor, is to fix our city, to fix the streets, the sidewalks, the buildings. There's a lot of infrastructure here that has been neglected for a long time, but it's like Mary was saying, it's gotten out of hand. And through no fault of the mayor's, but I think it's been years and years of pushing it off to the back burner and catching it next year. And now it's going to the point where it's going to be really expensive to fix it. We also can't go in there and fix the road without fixing the water system first. So we can't put the cart before the horse. We got to fix our water system first. And there's a lot of issues there, but been checking around and talking to people and people that do know about our water system, and it's going to be costly to fix, but it can be done. That way we won't have to have a warning label coming with our water bills to what's treating the water. So with that, I don't know what else I can say to that.
Okay,
it's
very good.
Big difference.
I'll tell you what, I applaud everybody running, and I applaud the mayor who's taken the position. Heck, I was an officer in an Elks Lodge and eventually a president, and that was tooth extracting. The work that was involved, I couldn't even imagine trying to run a small city or what have you. But okay, good luck to the three of you. I'm sure there's more questions coming at you guys. Dawson or Mary, if you could speak for Dawson, does he have anybody in the audience that wants to ask somebody on the panel a question?
Tom, and for the rest of the country, drop that mic on you. This is like the beta, isn't it? We're gonna work out all the kinks and document the little things we shouldn't do, like drop the mic. Dawson, any questions from yes, sir. Hang on 1 second, Tom, we have a question from the audience.
Yeah, I'm going to flip back and forth between emailed questions and the audience, okay? Hi there, sir. What's your name? Excuse me, sir. Sir, excuse me, real quick. Dawson, can you get him closer to your camera? Because I can't hear him. I'm sure my audience can't hear him. Let me ask you guys something. You got the air conditioning on in there or something?
Yeah.
All right, it's time to turn that off and just suck it up, ladies and gentlemen. It's causing havoc. Go ahead, sir. What's your name and what's your question and who are you asking the question to?
How do you plan to do that without a bond? My second question is, I have some concerns with what's going on with the fire department. I think they do a great job. But I ask, why do we not know what they're doing with our tax money? They get 20-some thousand a year from the city, 100-some thousand from the city, 20,000 from the county, and yet we don't have an audit on them. We don't have anybody how they do. I used to run a city building. What do you do? I just ask, if you ask them, whoever runs the mayor, when you ask the fire department issue an open record about spending the money, if they refuse, that you look at having an investigation, I'll charge a file, and I'll allow that. It is what is required to state law. You have to answer that.
Do you have anybody in particular you want to answer that, Dennis?
I would like to ask the two people who are running for mayor.
There's three of us.
I'll make two new. I agree with you. There's under the mayor and city council handbook, it states that there's several things that are supposed to come with your tax dollars. You should never ever be without police department or fire department. That's the law. They also cover sewer and stuff like this, but the fire department should never ever been questioned. If there's an issue about their budget, I've talked to Stephen, and everybody is entitled to see that paperwork, their budget, their expenditures. That is public knowledge. As far as their building goes, I don't have enough information to know that, but I do know that if you're going to put a building up and erect a building around an old building and spend $460,000 doing so, then you don't do that for nothing. You do that because you think you got a good deal with the city, and there should have been a question on that. The one thing about our tax dollars that you hear and see is the fire department and the police department. I agree. Our fire department is the best I've seen. I've been there. I've toured the place. I've talked to Stephen Gillette and many other of the fire department. and they are top notch. They are the best I've seen. And I've seen a lot of volunteer fire departments, but he's the best one I've ever heard across. I don't think there should have been a question about it. And if you have a question, if the town has a question about it, you talk to them, but long before your contract comes up with them. If there's any question, you work it out before the contracts come up. But you don't ever put your citizens in the position that we were put in. And I got very agitated about this and very emotional about it. And because it hurts our, I don't know how to explain it, but our safety. You don't know if your house got caught on fire, you don't know if the fire department's going to show up or not because they didn't have the money to answer. As a matter of fact, I read, and I don't like pointing fingers or saying he said and she said, but somebody made a comment that we have a fire, just don't answer the call. And that's wrong. I'm sorry. Nobody should have said that. That was very hurtful for our fire department. They are heroes. That's the best way to put it. So is our police department. People complain, but that's what they're going to do. It's the police department. People might get pulled over. You see those lights come on behind you, you're going to get a ticket. You know it. I hadn't had a ticket in a long time, but I did get one coming down here a couple of years ago. It was a big one. But I was following trucks, and I thought I was doing the speed limit. I didn't see them. I was doing 85.
Okay, guys, excuse me 1 second. We got to stop this. We have to stop and fix this. Dawson, I was under the impression you had a microphone for the audience because the chat's saying they can't hear. I believe they can hear the candidates fine. Also, candidates, please make sure when you do answer, mention your name every time you're answering so the audience knows they're asking in the chat who's speaking. And lastly, Dawson, you getting the mic fixed?
Yeah, Tom, hang on 1 second. We are getting the gentleman over clear to a microphone, so stand by 1 moment, please.
Yeah. Mary, let him sit on your lap if he has to. We still need 2 more answers, right? Is that right? Was that posed to all Mayor? Oh boy, we're getting feedback, Dawson. I knew I should have flew to Comanche, Texas. I knew it. Dawson? Okay.
Testing.
Very good. Okay, Dawson, you're getting real bad feedback. I have another option for the microphone. Forget the microphone. Forget the microphone at Dawson's position, and just let let the person walk up to the stage and grab one of the candidates' mics.
We look so much alike. The fire department does an excellent job. I donate to them every year. What I'm asking is if we give them so much funding, that should they not be required by law to show all the records of how that money is spent? It's our taxpayer dollar. I'm not asking about donations. I'm asking about taxpayer dollar. What I'm asking is if they were to refuse the value to have open records through that fire department, would it be considered to take legal action against them and pursue that in some type of investigation? That's all I want to know.
Yes, it would call the Attorney General's office. That's what you would do.
And I'm asking you people that want to be mayor.
Right. What you do is if you ask for that, it's in the contract you write with them, and they will show that to you. If they refuse, you would contact the Attorney General's office, and they would do the investigation. That's the only way I've contacted the Attorney General's office, and that's the answer that they made was to contact them. They would have somebody come in and do the audit. I understand that. We went through that.
Got you, Larry. What did you say about this?
So Dennis, good question and reasonable questions in terms of the use of government funds. If I could, if I could have been with the council and replayed what's happened since last summer, um, having an understanding of how the government funds have been used with the fire department, who is now a 501c3, I think there was a misunderstanding probably how they functioned from a law perspective, right? But the city would have the right, and I believe the fire chief has agreed to work in the disclosure of how the city funds have been used. If I were elected mayor, first thing I would do is get all the attorneys off and let them sit on the sides and sit down with some common sense and say, guys, you're using public funds. We need to know how you spend it because we're responsible to the taxpayers. I've done that a lot of my career in negotiate big issues and resolve, challenges in governmental programs. And that would be what I would do, is get the attorneys out of the way and sit these guys down and work through it. I think we're getting there. Certainly in that last meeting, the council seemed to better understand how they were structured differently. But if I were mayor, that's what I would do. Your second question about how do we fund street improvements, infrastructure improvements. First of all, I'm glad that you've got a government background, because not a lot of people understand what it takes to run a city, to fund it. Not, a bond issue long ago was probably a lot easier to get passed than it is today, because people have been taxed to death, right? And money's borrowed. So I don't know enough about what the financials look like to be, and I'm not going to speculate. And to my point earlier, the first thing I would try to understand is all the revenue sources. What is it going to cost if you came out of government? You probably did capital improvements programs. So let's look at a capital improvements program. What's it going to fund? If the cost of changing streets and paving them now is skyrocketed, can we partner with the highway department, who changes out, highways on a regular basis? They get tons of federal money. We've got major state highways that run through the city. Why can't we partner with them to help cost share? But I would do anything I could to keep from putting additional tax or borrowing money on this community, because I don't think right now that's the right answer. When we can all understand financially what we look like, what it costs to keep the city running, then collectively we could work together on what our financial strategy is. Would you agree with me on that? Would you partner with me on that? Awesome.
But I do ask, is if we do not get the information on fire department, what action do you take?
So absolutely. I think in terms of use now, I would take further action, and that's when the lawyers come back in, right? And to be honest with you, if you get to that point, then everybody sort of takes to the sides and they let the lawyers start doing what lawyers do really, really well, and that's protecting the interests of their client. I know that because I work with lawyers every day. I would tell you that I would hope we could not get there. I would think our community and because they're our people, right? They're in our community, they're in our churches, they're in our schools. This is our people that stay in our houses and our lives, that we have, and we would understand where all the public funds are being used.
Well, thank you for your answer. My reason is I just don't want to see this black cloud hanging over.
No, sir, I do not either.
And I've seen both sides. Having worked for the city government, I know that this is going to cause a major problem.
I am with you. I saw a controlled burn on the other side of my pasture a week ago, and early morning in the dark, and my first thought was, is that pasture on fire, and can I get the volunteer fire department out here? So I am with you. We need these guys. I'm public safety to the core of my being. My husband, my son, my dad was in government, but public safety is the core of my being, and I have faith that we can get this resolved.
Well, whoever wins mayor, I can assure you, if you need to be involved.
All right, thank you, sir.
The only thing I'll say, and I have, I've had people tell me, why do we have lawyers involved? And I feel the same way. I don't like to over litigate anything or have too many attorneys involved, but there's also the question that's come up over the building and the ownership of the building that the fire department's in. And and I've been told, well, that was done on a handshake agreement. Shouldn't have been done on a handshake agreement. Well, the only way you don't do it on a handshake agreement is you get attorneys involved. And you sometimes you cannot help that. Yes, you know, and to be really honest with you, I mean, um, Stephen and I met. We didn't always have the attorneys involved. We've met and you know we've listened to one another and hopefully you know I have a lot of faith that we can move forward on this. I mean, you know, I, I believe that we can and all issues can be resolved. You just have to get all parties going in the same direction and I don't think anybody up here or anywhere else doubts the character and integrity and the professionalism of our fire department. I'm like Mike Winslet said, you know, I mean, we're a level 3. Stephen can tell you more about that. And I visited with a gentleman that works for the fire department down near Austin, and he's very, you know, he brags about our department, and I never disagreed with him one time. And in fact, we agreed with a lot of things, on a lot of things. But you know, sometimes we have to move forward with the help of somebody else, whether it's legal counsel or whatever. Hopefully, I will say this: finally, we do have our attorneys saying the same thing, and that is a good thing.
Mayor, did Mike get to speak on this question? Okay, very good. Okay. Dawson, did you, I know my friend Chop is in the room. I used to play poker with him many, many years ago. Is that you, Chop, in the camera?
Yeah.
Is there any way you could help me and Dawson get the mic
I'm
closer? Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Okay, I'll get to a question. Whoa. You're hurting Big Daddy's ears. They're saying in the chat that they can't hear. I'm going to recommend the chat turns their volume up to 11. And I'm going to look for the next question. I think I'm going to start to bring the council seats into play here, okay? Just to switch it up a little bit. I missed the opening remarks from everybody, but I had some questions coming in, and just give me a second while he's doing what he's doing. And I'm going to try and get to this question here. This question is to Mr. Well, I call him Pastor Bob. Bob Tucker? Do you have a mic?
Dawson, where's your speaker at over here?
I got it.
Did you say you have a mic, Pastor Bob?
Yes.
Okay. The question is to you: if you are elected, what is your plan for all the some of the things just mentioned, but mainly the street repair, water issues? What if you're elected? What are your plans, and how do you plan on raising funds possibly to help stave off the taxes being raised?
Well, like Mary said, without actually being in there, it's hard to know the financial status of the city, what's going on, what these guys outlive on a daily basis. But I've been looking at some grants for the water up through the EPA and also the Texas Water Quality Board, where we pay from 1 to 10%. And also on the roads, military surplus has a lot of road equipment and stuff that we can do our own roads that we can get through the government lots of times without any funding from the city or very little. And if we could just pay for materials and actually use that equipment that's a military surplus, that would be awesome. Plus also, there's still some money in the Obama administration on the roads for the infrastructure that has not been spent yet that we could get. It would take a lot of grant writing and stuff like that, which I know Mary is real good at. And as far as the fire department goes, It's a 501c3. It's a public entity. Anybody that wants to can go file open records stat, go look at the records. Plain and simple. I would propose to whoever gets in there, one thing they can do about the buildings and stuff, do like a 99-year lease for X amount of money or something like that to just get it solved. That way the fire department's assured that they can use it for 99 years. The city still retains control of it. But then you have to, in the contract, we'll have to get your lawyers involved to determine if there's any tax liens or if there's anything else against the 501c3 that the city will not be held liable for it. And there's other considerations. So, like Mayor Clifton said, you know, sometimes you just have to get the lawyers involved. Any other questions, sir?
No, I think that's covered it. Dawson or Chop, do you have another person to try a question from the floor?
Anybody else? Floor's open. Anybody?
Everybody's scared? Don't be scared. These ladies and gentlemen up here are very nice people.
Well, this question will be for all of you.
Announce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Chief Gillette, Comanche Volunteer Fire Department.
Okay, go ahead, Chief. For everyone, right?
This will be for everybody. If elected, what would your emphasis be on emergency services for the city of Comanche? I know that's a big question, but and this involves all entities, police, fire, EMS, because one thing that we do have in small town is that, you know, where the big cities, you know, there's fire stations on every corner, ambulance house on every corner, and cop on every street. We don't have that. So what would your emphasis be on emergency services for the city of Comanche?
I might have to ask you for a little information along the way, Steve. Curtis Stockton, and my emphasis for emergency services. In the police department, one of the things, and they've been working on the last year and a half that I've been on the council, is improving their fleet. The fleet is worn, the cars that they have, they've got quite a few miles on them. They have written grants in the last couple of years. Is it 2 cars? Is that correct, Kelly? Don't been able to purchase. I think that kind of thing needs to continue, make sure that they have the resources that they need so that they can function. For me, the emphasis is we've got to solve the questions that are in front of us right now. As I said the other day at City Council, I think we've got 2 big topics in front of us right now. One is the contract. We made, I think, a little bit of progress there, at least in the short term. And then a more long-term question that we've got to work on is what about this facility? So what are we going to do there? And to me, that is the number one emphasis of all of the emergency services that you ask me about and ask us about. I think that's one we have to solve before we dive into the other things. And did you ask about EMS as well, Stephen? I'm going to have to plead a little bit of not sure on that one, other than I know we've got to supply people the resources they need to function well. And I don't know if they have what they need or not, to tell the truth.
Can I respond?
Yes.
I wanted to respond to this because I've got an advantage over the other candidates, and I don't want to use that as an advantage, but as a mayor, you will get to go to the emergency management meetings. Tricia Grimshaw is currently our, I think, I don't know exactly how to say her title is. Ray Hillsberg used to have that title. Okay, thank you, Esmo. But anyhow, the last meeting I went to, probably got more done in that meeting than we have in the other 8 that I've been to, 8 or 10 or whatever that I've been to. Our new county judge, Judge Stephanie, had an idea of getting anybody that's involved in emergency management or that has anything to do with protecting like schools, the police department, the fire department, the 911 services, what have you, have them have a training day, training and just an open learning session on what they could do and how they could coordinate with one another. I thought it was awesome. She talked about dates to do that, and I mean, it was going to bring everyone together so that we'd all be on the same page. And I just wanted you to know that is kind of in the works. And so, Stephen, I think that would be a great deal, and there is progress being made in that regard.
Can I also address that? This is Mary Boyd, and I'd like to address the chief's question as well. As I indicated, public safety is my background. I ran 911 centers in Texas, both in Austin, Travis County, and in Houston, and then worked with the State 911 Commission for a long time. This is kind of my sweet spot. I think that in addition to, what Mayor Clifton indicated in terms of training, I think for our community, we need to visit that emergency management plan. I noticed last night when we had bad weather, that none of our phones were going off with a wireless emergency alert. At least mine didn't, and I don't know if anybody else's did. I know my son's didn't. And we have a federal program mandated through the FCC, but you have to activate it locally. So for our first responders, if we had been, in a tornado, which, we're just likely to have happen in our county, we need a coordinated effort and we need our community notified. You may not be able to hear that siren from the courthouse square to send folks warning notices. So I think there's an opportunity, once again, using the advances of technology and some of the rules that are in place that we can improve on coordination and emergency response, and that would be one of my priorities. Anybody else?
Just, I'm sorry.
Dawson, did we just hit?
Just to
Who's speaking right now,
touch on
please?
something Mary said about the phone not going off. I was listening to the radio last night. In every county but Comanche County got a warning. We never got hit with a warning. That's why the phones didn't go off, unfortunately. Everything around us did. But I agree with what the mayor has said here, that they're working on a system that would get everybody in touch with each other. And our first responders that I've seen so far, since I've been here, has been great. But it's also work in progress that they're working on. I think it's an awesome opportunity to move forward and help our community knowing what's going on. Because I was listening last night for the sirens, and I was watching them, listening on the news, and I had the TV going. But I have direct TV, so it was phasing out. But the radio was working, and nothing came across Comanche County. It was all around us, but nothing for Comanche. I was kind of surprised.
Keep going.
As well as it can be. And I'm going to say firsthand experience here. We have an amazing relationship amongst law enforcement, EMS, and police. Personally, I've worked with everybody on law enforcement, with the fire department, and the relationship that we have is amazing. We are a family. I'd like to see that continue to grow closer. There are some new faces. I think everybody would need to come together, learn who you're working with, and be able to go out in the community as well and teach everybody what it is that emergency services does, whether it be fire, EMS, or law enforcement. We aren't cops, we aren't firefighters, we aren't ambulance drivers. We are caregivers, we are protectors, we are safe. So to be able to go out into the community and let them know this is who you are going to depend on when you call 911. We don't.
Uh-oh, we have a little bit of a breakup there.
It's true.
Hey, Dawson.
This is Jerome Hall. I've been on the council for a long time, and everything we've talked about, all it takes is money. It'd be nice if we had it, but we don't always. You know, I'm on the appraisal board too. There's been quite a bit of questions about the appraisal values in town and in all of the communities. There's one other thing I'd like to say is that I know it looks like that the council hasn't supported the fire department, but we have. We're proud of what they've done. And there was a misconception about what percentage of the money that they receive is more than 18% of their budget.
Whoa. We lost the signal there, Comanche. Hold on one second. We lost the signal from the mics.
Relative to 18%. But in that $500,000, nearly half of that was great that they were able to buy a brush truck. But if you take that nearly half of the money they spent, then the amount, the $125,000 that we spent on the fire department this year would be a lot more percentage than 18%. I'm not saying that we give enough. Maybe we could do better, but like I said, all it takes is money. So we appreciate the job the fire and the police do. Thank you.
First off, to all our first responders, fire, EMS, and police officers, we'd like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your bravery and getting out there every day and doing what you have to do. Holding certs in all three fields, I understand how tiring, how difficult, and lots of times you're doing it for little to no pay. It's a tough field, and like Mr. Hall said, there's hardly enough money. I mean, these guys make nothing. I know our fire chief does it for free, and I know Brownwood's wanting him real bad. I'm praying that he loves us enough to stay and keep going. Every time I've walked into the fire station, spotless, perfect, everything's ready to go, roll out on another job. And he deserves a lot of thanks for that. And I know the city and stuff has to watch every penny they spend. So yes, it's a little difficult time, but if the people will hold on, and I know they're working on a few things right now to help the fire department out in the interim, the situation will be solved, whether the old council or new council.
And I'll say one more thing about the fire department. Mr. Thonkey came up with an agreement that I thought we'd approved in principle at our last city council meeting, but on the following, what day was that, Mr. Thonkey? Thursday or Friday of last week? Friday. We felt like we had an agreement in principle, and I think if everybody was in agreement, so I think we've got an agreement in principle. One thing from my background is, and Mr. Donkey and Mr. Clifton the same way, we come from a background of public education, which can be good or bad, but our background was if you spent city money or tax money from any source, you had, I mean, if you went down and bought pens or pencils, you had to bring a receipt back. You had to fill out a requisition. You had to have it approved at the office. So our background is a lot different, or my background is anyway. I'll put it that way. They can speak for themselves. So I think that's part of the reason we got in such a conflict. And I'm sorry for that, but that's the way I was raised, I guess you'll say. Thank you.
Is that everybody across the board? Okay. I hope I heard Dawson say yes. It's so hard to hear Dawson. Okay. Dawson, if I'm correct, you guys want to stretch your legs and take a break. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so I have one question really quick that I'm going to run across the panel. Don't take a lot of time to answer this one. And then we're going to take a 15-minute break. Then I believe the agenda is to have, not the agenda, but the plan is to have 2 questions from the police department, maybe 1 question for the fire department. I don't know if the first one was asked, but here's a question that everybody can ask from left to right. Let's just start at the far left and go across the table. Here's the question.
Oh, sorry. I'm tired.
Poor Dawson.
Okay,
Poor Dawson. Dawson's been working. Hey, how about a round of applause for Dawson for putting this together? He's tiny, but he's mighty. Okay, so here's the question. This one comes from the internet, which basically means either they sent it to me via private message on Facebook or came through me through the email I posted on your rant and rave page. Here's the question. Now, this is a question for everybody. If you need me to repeat it, I will, but you should get this one. Why should I vote for you as opposed to your opponent? What skills and or expertise would you bring to the office or of mayor or council seat that makes you the best candidate for the job? We'll finish up with that question, and then we'll take a 15-minute break.
Well, what I'm running as is a full-time mayor, and that's what I'm bringing to the table there. Like my parents used to tell me, best way to, if you want a job done right, do it yourself. And that's just the way I'm going to add it. I'm not happy with what I see going on. I know it's not anybody's particular fault, but when you're not happy with seeing what's taking place around you, you know, you want to get out there and do something. So that's why I'm here.
Mary Boyd, thank you for the question. Why would I think you should vote for me is, first of all, I bring over 4 decades of experience both in local government as well as state and at federal level working with federal programs. I think that background would help bring some experience and perhaps some guidance for our town as we try to grow and improve on the infrastructure needs. And then probably most importantly, I'm extremely conservative. This town's very important to me, but I'd also know that we'd need to work within the limitations of our budget. So once again, this is not a quick fix to all of our problems. We didn't get here overnight. And so it's going to take us a few years to work through this. And I would just ask for your support.
That's a tough question when you have respect for the other candidates, but I will say this, that mayor, whether you call it full-time or part-time or whatever, however you want to classify that, the thing that I think is important in our city is as a person, as a citizen, as a taxpayer, whatever, I think it's really important that we serve our community outside the mayor's office. I think that we support all of our civic organizations, our volunteers that just a ton of them in this community. I think that we participate in whatever is going on in the community. You've got to be there. You've got to be present. And I've always tried to do that. I've always tried to be available if somebody needed me. And so that's why I would ask for, that's how I would answer that question.
Jerome Hall. I know some people believe in term limits, and maybe I have been on city council too long, but I feel like I'm up to speed. I know what we've done, where we've been, and where we're going. It's like Ronnie says, when we started, we've spent about the same amount of money on streets, and it's done less and less each year. Our streets didn't get bad overnight. They went through many, many years of neglect, and they're not going to get fixed overnight. I think Mayor Clifton's come up with a plan to fix the streets and make improvements, and I support him in those plans. Thank you.
Esmeralda Cumbie, and I feel like
Can I hear her? Hold on one second. Is her mic working? Do you need the question again?
Yes, please go ahead and give me your question again.
Why should I vote for you as opposed to your opponent? What skills and or expertise would you bring to the office or council seat that makes you better or the best candidate for the job?
I've worked for many, many years in the community, serving the people, and I feel like I've got the ability to gather information, sort through that information, process it, and come up with the best answer. It takes a lot to be able to look at numbers, determine what the people need, and to be able to put that all together and give the community what they need. So that's why I appreciate your support.
Robert Tucker. You know, I've worked with budgets as big as multi-million dollars all the way down to little bitty $1,000 budgets for a small ambulance company. I understand that you need a plan. Not only do you need a plan for next quarter or next month or next year, you need a 5-year, a 10-year, and a 20-year plan. With plans like that, it will stretch out the budget. You can learn where you can save at this year, spend it next year, spend it 5 years down the road. I've also worked with a lot of military surplus and Department of Defense. I understand how to get the equipment we need. We can get military equipment for our police officers, for our firefighters. We can get military police equipment for our roads and stuff like that they've used in other locations that they bring back. And lots of times there's programs that you can get it for free or very little cost. And I would appreciate your vote and your support. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Curtis Donkey, and what I bring to the table here in this, and the reason I'm asking for your vote is I do have about 1.5 years of experience now in the city council, and that helps a lot. It takes a while to get up to speed, and in some ways I still feel like I'm still getting up to speed. It's pretty complex, even in a small city like Comanche, Texas. And then the second thing I bring in is my life, my professional experiences as an administrator at Comanche ISD. I've got 27 years in public schools and the last 14 being principal. I am used to, as some of the others, working with some pretty big budgets. And I've been responsible for multi-million-dollar budgets for 14 years, and not once have I gone over budget. So I've learned how to take care of people's money. I am used to having to always keep in mind that I'm dealing with taxpayer money, and that's critical. You've got to be careful with it. You've got to do what's right, what's moral, what's correct, what's legal. I'm used to having to deal with bureaucracy. You've never seen a bureaucracy, I don't think, like public schools. It's complex. In my office, I've got notebook after notebook after notebook full of laws and regulations and interpretations of all of those. And it isn't easy to keep up. And so just by a lot of years of doing that kind of work in the schools, that helps me because it's very, very similar to the city business. Thank you.
Whoop, we lost our camera, Dawson. Somebody give Dawson some candy. I think his blood sugar's dropping. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that everybody, Dawson? I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Dawson, what about you? What expertise do you bring to the... No, I'm only kidding. Okay, let's take a 15-minute break. Let's take a 15-minute break. We'll reconvene in 15 minutes. Thank you, everybody. Great job so far. This is Big Daddy on the Big Daddy Roadshow Real Talk Show. The Town Hall in Comanche, Texas. 15-minute break, everybody.
Where are you over here? No. No. Where did it come out of? Here.
if you're just joining the show, we're on a 15-minute break from the town hall in Comanche, Texas. Going good so far. Looks like Chop is trying to fix a mic situation. Not a very pretty man, but good-hearted, apparently trying to fix everything. This is the Big Daddy Roadshow Real Talk Show. Talking politics out of Comanche, Texas. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
I'm hoping that this, I hope that's mine. I just put that there. I'm hoping that, is that going to be good where it's sitting? Well, he's not on, so I can't tell. I'm trying to send him a message and tell him to test it.
Hey, guys, I'm not on break, so you guys can test what you want.
Yeah, I'm not confident.
I still think
I'm going to give you guys 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. We'll get started again, okay? 2 more minutes, Chop. Chop, can you talk to me, Chop?
Yeah.
Okay, you sound great there. What did you do? Wow. How can we get the audience members to sound that good? Quit hogging the camera, buddy. Hey, we got to get together and play poker again, man.
I was trying to get you mic'd up over here.
Well, we're gonna come back with the police and fire. Is that right? Uh. Okay, can you guys hear me?
to, but I'm it's past your bedtime already. My wife said. I don't know where it plugs in at.
Chop, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Does the room, are they just hanging out? I don't mind waiting. I got nothing better to do. They want a little more time?
The board is, looks like the board is seated.
Okay.
I'm waiting on Dawson to return.
All right. Thank you. And
Phone's dying, and I got to figure out where to plug this cord in at because I have no idea. I know nothing about an iPhone.
okay.
I know it just belongs in the trash. That's all I know.
I know. I'm an Android guy too. Now, can they still hear me in the room? Am I on the projector?
Yeah, they can hear you. You're on the speaker.
Because I was going to start cussing and talking dirty with you.
No.
Now listen, I'm getting some. What do you mean wrong crowd? Okay, tough crowd. You say tough crowd?
Well, internet crowd, but yeah.
Tough crowd.
We're fast approaching a lot of people's bedtimes here.
Oh, I see it. So they're early to bed, early to rise there.
Yes.
Cool.
Got to
All
get
right.
up and slop the chickens and feed the cows.
I have chickens. I do not have cows. Okay. Well, let's just try to get it back together. We're going to start out with the police and the fire, and then I have a last couple questions to ask, and maybe there'll be a last few coming in from the audience. Call this meeting back to order. This town hall.
See if I can turn your volume up.
Let Dawson. Oh, don't worry. I mean, just it's cool.
Keep talking, Tom.
Check 1, check 2, check 1, 2, 3. Check, check, check.
Give me another check.
Check 1, 2, 3. Check, check, check. We're getting a little feedback there. Don't go too high.
I think I might have you.
You got me now? Check 1, 2.
I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab Dawson.
Okay. Thank you, Chop.
Not literally.
Oh, yes, you are.
All right. I think he went to try and find a cord for his phone to charge it with, but we've already got a cord, but I just don't know how to plug it in.
Okay,
And I can't unlock his tap protected.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, that's all right. As long as you're not losing crowd.
We're kind of in a holding pattern right now.
That's fine. How many people are in the room? I couldn't really tell.
4, 8, 30.
People in the chat are talking about the long 15-minute break. Hey, listen,
Yeah.
they do everything big in Texas, even their breaks.
Yeah. We're about ready to start a barbecue.
I'll tell you what, I really wish I could have been there live. This would have been fun. I missed the opening comments. Oh, my,
Well,
I've done over 500 live shows, right? And
had I known, I would have brought. I've got a digital camera. I could have brought up, set up on a tripod.
yeah, well, maybe Dawson's afraid of you.
Yeah, I didn't know.
No, I'm not. I'm only kidding. I'm just saying.
It might have been broadcast sideways though, because that's how I roll.
Yeah, I know you got your own little artistic angle there.
Yep, I think he
really
might be coming in the door. Yep, now. He's
all right. Like I said, I'm doing a few more little things anyway. I could use the time.
Got it from our mayor, soon to be mayor. But where do I plug it in at? I don't know where to plug it in on your phone. Oh, okay. Got you.
Drop in Dawson.
That's not. All right, we have Dawson back. So.
Okay, can you hear me, Chop?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How well can the room hear me right now?
Well, if everybody be quiet, we can hear you a whole lot better. But
Right. I'm just saying, like when I am speaking, are they able to hear me in the room?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I would like to do a little talking before we restart this. Before we get the questions, who's up first, police or fire?
I'm in the back of the room and I can barely hear you.
Oh, hi. What's your name?
That's the wife.
That's the wife. I'm sorry. I was looking down. You're in the back of the room and you can hardly hear me. Well, get your buns up front. Get your buns up front. You can sit down right there on the floor, Indian style. Boy, your wife is just always wanting to get on me.
Yep.
Tell your wife I'm not responsible for the audio quality of that room.
Well, I'm working on it.
I know.
I've got you up as far as volume up as much as I can without getting feedback.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's probably something to do with positioning where where you have your setup at. Just the other people.
Correct. All right.
If I was there, I would have.
Unplug this one. Pull it. Now. Okay. Now.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. If you're just joining us, we're at the town hall meeting in Comanche, Texas. We're about to start part 2, the final part of the town hall meeting. We're waiting on Dawson Hicks' words. I believe all the candidates are back to the table.
You don't have a headphone jack on this phone, do you? Because it's a new one.
We're getting some kind of squealing, guys. Some kind of nasty squealing.
About as best we're going to get. Where? All right, Tom, I guess we're going to go back. It's going to be all you now.
Okay, excellent. If everybody, could I have your attention? Listen up, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. How was your break? Just so you guys know, I didn't get one. I was working feverishly, uploading pictures and whatnot. Before I go forward, I want to mention something. My sidekick, Ryan, really was looking forward to being a part of this event. Again, you guys can still hear me, correct?
Yes.
He's a younger man, and he's really kind of bumming out that our software, after 500 live shows, we've only ever had problems with the software twice. Once yesterday and once today. At least I got my camera rolling, but I really wish you guys would have met Ryan, because it would have been neat to get a younger guy's views on questioning for the panel. I've asked him to write his questions in my private message on Facebook or just to post them on the chat of the show. So you might be fielding some questions from Ryan, who's also from Northeast Pennsylvania, if he gets this message. And I'm sure he's going to get it. So who's up first? And also one last thing, if you're in the armed services, my show, the Big Daddy Road Show, has always supported our troops, our veterans, always. Since the first time I flipped the switch on the microphone, I've served at the VFW for my father, who served in Korea. And I pretty much dedicated my life to the veterans when I was that was my number one committee when I was the president at the Elks. The Elks mean God and country. So this is why, if people want to know why I did this for nothing, it's because I really love America. And I think everybody in this room probably does as well. And I just want to give a big shout out to anybody who served this country. I did not, but I did serve through the Elks, and I still do barbecue every year at the Veterans Hospital in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Shout out to all our troops. Okay. And veterans. Okay, excellent. So if I could can you tell me who's going to come up? Is it fire or police first? I have some graphics.
I think we're going to have the police, chief of police.
Chief of police. And okay, just ask him to say his name so I could hear it. And let's make sure we can hear him, please.
That mic's off.
Hello, Chief. Hello, Chief. Real quick, Chief.
Yeah, can you hear me?
It's not the best, so get closer to that mic for me.
My name is Bruce Bradshaw.
Okay, Chief.
Yes.
You're not in your uniform. I mean, I was
Comanche.
The city doesn't have enough money to buy me but one uniform.
He's already worked this week.
I've already worked this week.
Hey, Chief, really quick. I always wanted to do this. Could I see your license and registration before you ask your question? All right, go. Yeah, somebody's got their thumb on the camera.
Can you hear me okay?
You know what, Chief? I really don't hear you okay. Can you just get up there and grab one of the mics from the candidates, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Turn that other mic off, guys. Let's turn off the floor mic and let's let people talk into the mic from the table. It sounds much better.
Now can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, very good. This is the Chief of Police from Comanche, Texas. Am I right?
You're correct.
Okay, it's about to get hot in here. Let's go. The floor is yours.
First thing I want to do is thank all y'all for doing what you do.
Chief, you got to talk into the mic. Chief, sorry.
All right.
Put that baby right in.
Can you hear me?
I was hearing better. Ready to go, Chief.
I've got a little stats here for you. A lot of times the police department's kind of ignored because we're like the necessary evil in town. We're not the heroes like the fire department. Nobody wants to see us coming. But this is what we've done in the first 3 months of the year this year. We've answered 1,768 calls for service. We've taken 224 reports. And
Guys, it's not working. Chief, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The only thing I can suggest is if you turn to the audience, it might help with the feedback.
Will that work?
That's much better. Go.
All right. We've worked 17 accidents and we've arrested 57 people. That's just for the January, February, March of this year. We currently, for the past year and a half, have been restructuring these policies and standards in order to comply with the Texas Chief of Police Association 168 standards. And hopefully at the end of the month, with the final assessment, the Comanche Police Department will be the 153rd agency of the 1,913 law enforcement agencies in the state of Texas to receive this status. We currently only have 11 sworn officers, and retention of employees are paid, obtaining proper equipment, unfunded state mandates, and lack of community involvement
are a few of the challenges facing our police department. As a council member, what can you do to help the police department solve these problems?
Didn't need the mic.
Great question. Great question, Chief.
Curtis Donkey, Chief, I might have to ask you to remind me of some of that. The question about how to help the police department with some of the challenges that he mentioned, the low pay is, I think, one of the biggest things, because we talked about this on the council, is the issue of pay and retention. It's a potentially dangerous job. Our officers got a pretty nice raise this year, but I think we're still behind, aren't we, on average? So that's something that we need to look at, continue to look at. The issue of community involvement, one of the things that I've seen, the police department has started becoming a good bit more active on Facebook, and so I think if we can support that, the city probably needs to do its part to popularize that and provide those opportunities for the public to know about that. Our police department is something to be proud of. The chief talked about the certification process they're going through right now, and they're just about there, I believe, and that's not easy to get. They work very hard, and so whether it be funds or just moral support, helping to get the word out, those are the things, the ways I think the city should be involved to help.
Congratulations, Chief, and we thank you for all that you do and all your officers. We know that you take real good care of our kids up at the schools. My kids are always praising y'all for that, being around, helping out when they needed the help and stuff like that. I do believe that what we really need to do is have like coffee with the cops, and there's several other things that a lot of communities do to help get y'all out there in a friendly way instead of having to pull them over and them seeing red lights and going, oh shit, you know. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people see when they see police officers. They don't see when you go out there to help somebody. They don't see when you're at an accident, waiting for the paramedics, waiting for the fire department. You're saving lives just like everybody else. They don't see when you protect their business from that burglar at the night, or you protecting their homes. Most of the time they're gone or not there. And the community needs more understanding of what y'all do in every facet. And I just like to say thank you and appreciate it. I know you've got a hard job. And
excuse me, Pastor.
Yes.
I'm going to have to ask you to hush now. Did you say shoot or did you say something else? Let's please pass the mic on. Pastor Bob taking over the mic.
Chief Bradshaw, you and AC and the other law enforcement officers all know how much I appreciate you from just working with y'all on different accidents, different scenes. I think it would help a bunch within the community if the children could see you on a personal level instead of just seeing you in an emergency situation. Taking a look and looking to see who our law enforcement officers are. A lot of times we bring in officers and children don't see the new faces coming in until they're needed. If they could be presented in a more friendly way. We've got officers that are very friendly, so I know that they would be out there playing with the kids. They'd probably go out and play basketball if they had the opportunity to. Funding for law enforcement for any emergency services is really tight. Budgets are just really hard to fit a lot of money into, but I do know that police departments in the surrounding counties are paying more money to get police officers to come and work for them. I think if we could add some incentives, some added incentives to help with the retention, maybe contracts to keep them here for a little bit longer until we can get more funding to give them an hourly rate increase. there's different things to look at. As far as that goes, a lot of times it's just benefits that help keep them here a lot longer. May not be the hourly rate, but it may be the benefit that's behind the package that helps to keep them.
I think that the city council has been active since I've been on there. Mr. Tonke mentioned the hourly raise that we gave them, but we've also made several improvements to the police building down there, cleaning up some of the area that was nearly unusable. That's one of the expenditures we've made. We've also hired some clerical help to take care of the property room and all the other things where they have to keep their equipment and so forth. So all of our things have made possible to put more officers on the street.
Well, of course, everybody wants to give more money. I think equipment that these guys wear, they've got to have the best protective equipment. They've got to have, no matter whether it's vehicles or whether it's weapons or whatever it takes to keep them safe. And even if, the most innocent looking traffic stop can sometimes turn bad. And we've also got, we've got to keep trying as much as we can to raise this pay on a yearly basis and add the benefits. Our police department right now, we asked them to take on more responsibility. Those of you who do not know, that right now our code enforcement officer works under their supervision as well as the animal control. And so they take on more and since I've been in Comanche, our department's never been more structured or organized than it is right now. It makes me very proud of our chief and Deputy Chief Kelly Davis, because they do wonderful things. They expect a lot. Another thing that we can do, now I moved to this community in the education business as a coach, and there was other places that offered me more money, but it was what Comanche Texas itself offered that brought me here. And I think let's do all we can to improve the quality of life or continue improving the quality of life, so that they'll want to raise a family here.
Chief Bradshaw, I think you probably know, my late husband spent his entire career in law enforcement with the Austin Police Department and then was their sheriff. I know the struggles y'all have in terms of what it takes to manage the budget. I worked with the Austin Police Department for many years. And this is a little bit of a difficult question without having, insight into what your budget is. But in terms of pay and retention, what comes to mind is one, and I know the assistant chief's been working on grants. I saw some more federal grants released today, guys, that are about more in terms of homeland security for communities. I think we try to look at that and see if we can write these grants and get some relief. I don't know if we have the opportunities in some of the funding programs based on seizures. When we property and seizures, if we can do anything with that, turning it into additional revenue. I'm all about keeping you guys and keeping you safe. The last thing, I want is one of y'all you put in danger and injured doing your job, protecting us. So if I were going to sit down and say, how do we solve this pay and retention, I would look at those programs, but I would also say, is there something we can do as an in-kind service for our officers? Is there something we can do, because we are such a small community that, because you are a city employee and you're with law enforcement, you get some additional discounts. I'm just saying that off the top of my head without actually having the opportunity to look at all your budgets. But it should be a priority. You guys are our, with the fire department and with EMS, our first line of defense. So I would work with you to figure out how we balance this and make sure you guys have current equipment. And maybe we do some, I don't know if you do regional cooperative procurement programs with the Council of Government or through Houston with the area council there and buy off of those to reduce cost and, you know, and save on, you know, our budget dollars. But you'll have my commitment to work with you to retain employees and pay them and give them incentives.
Well, I feel the same way. Our law enforcement that we have here is, I have never had a issue with them. They're awesome people. They put their lives on the line for us on a daily basis. I have relatives that are officers. I got a stepson that's just going into state trooper school in Connecticut. I'm very proud of him. I'm scared for him. It's a scary job, and I would not want it. But to answer your question, we live, our community is not we have a lot of retirees, and we have a lot of fixed incomes, and it's going to be hard to justify doing that. What we have to do is bring our taxable income up. Let's get some residents in here, some young residents with children that can go to our schools. We have awesome schools. It's got the facilities, it's got the land. We just need to attract people to come in. Whether retirees are coming in from Stephenville or Brownwood, they're overflowing with people. They don't have enough housing. Let's look at putting some housing here. Maybe that will bring up some taxable income that will help in giving everybody a little bit more money, especially with our law enforcement and the equipment that they need. Everybody's job has got to be safe. We need to make sure their job is safe and they go home safely to their families every night. And I know it's tough sometimes. And I thank you for your loyalty, your service in helping our community and sticking with us. It'll all come around. It's just going to take a little time. Unfortunately, times are tough. Money is tight. We all live on a budget, and we have to try and fix things and work with everybody.
Okay, Chief.
Yes,
Did you have one more question, I believe?
Yes, sir, I do.
I hate to say this like this, but shoot. Fire away.
Let me get my notes out here.
Just make sure they're your notes, sir.
All right. The Texas legislature is currently debating property tax reform. And I know all of y'all have seen the news and discussed it. There's a lot of citizens in this town that would like to see their property taxes reduced. If a bill passes that reduces the city's ability to collect funds necessary to operate and provide necessary services to its citizens, what do you propose to alleviate the problem?
That's a good one.
That's a hard question.
That's a good one.
There goes that one
Where we
uniform.
There goes.
Tough question. I mean, first of all, that's why voting is so important. I'll just put it that way. But, you know, what do we do? I mean, it's one of those situations where, you know, we'll have to start cutting services in other places because you have to have that protection. But the main thing is we've got to stay in contact with those who represent us in Austin. We just, you know, we can't let that happen because they need to understand. I mean, Chief, and I'd like for him to ask them that question. But because I'll be real honest with you, I don't have a good answer for that. Other than cutting services to make sure that they're paid well.
So, Chief, I mentioned earlier that the shift in putting the burdens on the counties, like in funding school finance, and to your point, cutting back on and putting caps and cutbacks on taxing, this is a legislative issue, and I'm not sure that out of 254 counties, that we have that many in this state that are the demographics and the economical framework that we have. We don't have big industry for the folks on the internet with us and the web. We don't have big industry to help offset these cuts and then, or the expenses that are placed on our county. So our residents are bearing that. I spent many years with the city of Boston and the state of Texas doing zero-based budgeting, where you have to prioritize based on no growth in your budget. If we're forced to cut, to me, the first priority is public safety gets funded. And then you have to look to your secondary services and what you cut back. But to the mayor's point, this is a policy and a legislative issue that we need to have a voice very, very loud in Austin. They have to think that counties like Comanche County, look at Loving County out in West Texas. I think they have 92 people that live in that. You truly would shut down that county if they continue to push the expenses on that community. So there are times and there are programs at the state where we realize that in 254 counties and over 1,200 cities, you have to have state structures that help equalize and help some of the entities. It may have been called Robin Hood in the old days, but there are situations like ours where we do need to have the helping hand. So I'm going to stand behind working with all of our taxing entities to put a policy forum together, and we go to Austin and give them a taste of what it is to live in rural Texas.
Yeah. I agree with what Mary is saying, but there's also other ways it can be done too. Texas has their own ways of doing things, and I'm getting used to it. I was born and raised in Texas, but I also lived outside of Texas for 35 years. And I came out of one of the highest tax states there is, and that was Connecticut. You want to talk about taxes? You can't breathe there without being taxed. So, but the towns, same size as Comanche, they may have one or two police officers there. That's it. And they have a lot higher crime than what we have. But what they do is they bring in state officers. They'll pay a state officer $100,000 a year to live in that town. That's how they solve their problems. But the taxes, it must have went all in their pockets because they tax you on everything. They even tax your clothes just to pay your every year. So it's a tough question. And like Mary's saying, we got to go to Austin and raise some cane there. Maybe cut back some of their salaries. Maybe they will understand where we're coming from.
Can I say one more thing? Pay attention when your legislators come to Comanche. Don't pass up the chance. I mean, sometimes they'll come down here to the depot or the chamber, and there won't be 10 people down there. Meet them down there.
Thank you very much. The bill that the chief was referring to, as it's sitting right now, would cap the ability of cities in the state of Texas to 3.5% increase each year on your property taxes. And that, because that's one of the big political issues. We know it's already been talked about a good bit tonight. It's a huge issue all around the state, is the quickly rising property taxes and the impact that that's having on property owners. And it's a serious issue, and it's complex, and you have to really dive into it to understand it. And I know a little bit more about it, maybe because of my role in the public schools. But I will tell you this, the legislature as a whole, they are a master at doing one thing and making the public believe they've done something else, and blaming those local entities that they're trying to control, whether it be a school district, whether it be a city. So we have to pay attention. Mr. Clifton mentioned, and some of the others as well, be involved, go to Austin. It's hard to understand, but we have to be aware of the impacts of these things. When you look at 3.5%, that's about what inflation is right now. So it varies a little bit, but right now here in the United States, here in Texas, inflation runs somewhere around 3%. So if all we can do is 3% or so, or 3.5%, all that does is allow us to keep up with what we're currently doing, and that's it. No more money for anything new. no more money to add more to a program without cutting something else. And maybe that's what needs to happen. Another way that I would encourage y'all to maybe have a better understanding of what is happening right here in Comanche is to know what our budget cycle is. The budget cycle for the city of Comanche begins October 1st. That's day one of the fiscal year. That means by law, we have to adopt the budget by the end of September. And that's what we do. But it takes a lot of work to get there. So when you start seeing agendas this summer for city council meetings, you'll see something called a budget workshop. If you'd like to be involved and know more about how do we arrive at this budget? Where is the money being spent? How much is being spent on these various programs, whether it's the police department or whatever? That's one of the best ways to find out, because that's where the details come in. I wouldn't say it's terribly exciting, but it is terribly important. And the budget, even in little old Comanche, is big enough and complex enough, we can't do it all in one day. So we have these budget workshops. We meet typically for about 2 hours or so, and we tackle a particular piece of the budget each time. And so we do it piece by piece, and we eventually get to that point where we adopt the budget. So that may be more than you want to know, but if you'd like to know where that money is being spent, where maybe you might be able to then have a better feel for, let's take money from this and give it to this. That will help. That will help your understanding. Thank you.
Like Mr. Stocky was saying, this is basically done at the state level. You're gonna have to get with your state representatives. Once it gets down to the city level, the only thing that your city council can do, regardless of who's in there, is sit back and figure out where they're gonna have to cut out, what they're gonna have to cut, and take as little from as many different places as they can do. So, please get with your state legislators, talk to them, anytime that you see them, anytime they come down, and let them know. These little communities, you know, we're dying at the taxes we have now, but at a 3% raise, there's just no way for these communities to make it, because the cost of the goods and services that the community has to use each year will go up about 4 to 5%, and then you got 3% inflation on top of that. They're fighting a losing war. So, thank you.
I'm not sure if the best way to answer that question, because it has everything to do with budgets, and if we've got just a small budget to work with, then we've got to work within that budget. I know that we've got to bring some kind of industry in here so that we can have more, at least more jobs for people. If we can get industry in here, then we've got another taxing entity. So if we can, we've got to just work on industry, getting industry in here, bringing in more jobs. And then beyond that, looking at grants, funding, for equipment supplies, and possibly even, salaries for law enforcement, for fire departments to continue to serve the community.
I think there's a couple of things that we've overlooked that might be a possibility, and it's gonna be an ugly word, I promise you that. When they also included a thing that they're gonna raise the sales tax 1/4. So that's another opportunity, so there may be more money. I mean, and we might can dedicate that money. I know that's an ugly word, more taxes. The other thing is when they talk about the cap, basically, the cap is just to raise it above that, you have to have an election, which is very hard to pass, as we saw when Ranger Cisco Junior College wanted to become part. And I'm not advocating that, but I'm saying if that's really important to our city, then maybe that's a step that we might have to do, is to attempt to raise more money by having an election to allow us to raise our taxes. This is a bad word, I understand, I'm not advocating, but it is a possibility. Thank you.
We've lost our. Where's the mic?
I'm sorry, Chop. That's a great shot of your hand.
No, you're welcome.
Okay. Now, very good answers, everyone. What do we have next? Fire department?
Fire department?
Well, don't they have more questions to ask?
Probably.
If you want, I can ask a question in between.
You can go ahead. You got a question for him?
Well, no, I don't have a question. I have people asking questions, or they're making statements. Okay, here's something coming. Wait, we got a real audio problem here, guys.
What do you need?
I don't know. I think maybe to turn your mic off right now. Okay. I'm getting real back feedback. We're being attacked by aliens. Okay, since here's a message coming through, and also I have been followed. I just want to stress I've been followed since this video started by about 15 people. I'm assuming most of those people are from the area. So if I've accepted your friendship, you could quick shoot some questions. But here's the question / statement. It says, since money was brought up, why has the city spent $50K to $100K plus on putting improvements to the new city hall that wasn't supposed to need anything? I'm assuming anything done. It's hard to read this one. Hold on one second. Which was the reason behind the $300K purchase price. Couldn't all that money be better spent on streets, infrastructure? It's like putting lipstick on a pig. That sounds so Texas right there. What are your thoughts on that? Right across the board. Try to keep it short, and
Who wants to address that first, Mayor?
I wish I had a picture of a lipstick pig.
I'll try to address it as much as I can. I continue to hear, that about the city hall and why are we spending money on that? That $300,000, whenever it was purchased, that was not completely moving ready. That facility had not been occupied in some time, and some of the improvements are to like change out the lighting to help save on electricity. We have to spend some money to save some money. Also, it's to there's also been things that's done in there to help the people who come in to do business with the city. There's been improvements trying to do things on the outside, different things. I mean, what can I say? If you go in there and look, or you want to go and look around and talk to those, the ladies that work in there, you can do that. I know, things like the roof has to be fixed, and you can't just continue to let things not be repaired. And so when you talk about $50,000, I've had a little work done on my house, and it doesn't take long to spend $50,000. I know that. So, but what you certainly have a right to ask that question, but I've answered that about as good as I can. You have to spend some money sometimes to save money in the long run.
There you go, Tom.
Okay, here's a question coming from Ryan, who should have been on my show, but we're having technical difficulties with his connection. Thanks, Be Live TV. Thank you very much for that. He's asking, how do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making processes that are going on in the town moving forward?
Say it again, please.
Ryan would like to know, how do you plan to involve residents, moving forward? I guess transparency in the decision-making process of the town. In other words, it's a small town, so I think I get his question. Maybe I need him to ask it a different way.
Who wants to address it?
Let me take a stab at that one.
Why am I up here doing this? Son of a...
Transparency
Transparency in our city is highly important, and everybody, our citizens need to be involved in helping, and you have to speak up sometimes. And I know, Pete, speaking from experience, that you can't, sometimes you go in there and ask questions and don't get any answers. Maybe it'd be inappropriate time to ask, and maybe you need to ask somebody on the side or however you gotta do it. But transparency has gotta be important in the future of our town. And the questions that's being asked and the transparency for our citizens to be able to have their answers, their questions and their answers is important. It's important to everybody. Everybody wants to be heard, and they have their own concerns. And not everybody's concerns will be the same, but you need to be heard, and attention needs to be brought to your concerns. All right.
I am the mayor. I've always heard the buck stops here, so I'll, let me just say this about council meetings, et cetera. There are places on that agenda, and Mr. Winslow, I know he's challenged the fact that whenever on citizens' comments that when we don't comment back, and there's a reason that I don't, because I've been told by, once again, people in the legal world that not to do that. But there is a place on those agendas, and it's called citizen presentation. And when you talk about having citizens involved, if a group of citizens has the same concern, and they will designate one person to bring that concern to the city that represents about maybe a dozen or more that have the same concern, then we can respond. And that's called a citizen's presentation. And personally, I enjoy that. I enjoy hearing from those folks because we can respond to that. And I think if we keep talking about open forums and what have you, and on some things, I'm not opposed to that. But we do have to do business at those city council meetings. And the citizen presentation is a place to do that for those folks. And also, don't wait till there's a council meeting to go in and present your concerns or whatever. And I will also I'll also try and thought on that. Don't wait till the city council meeting to go in and present your concerns. Also, don't wait till there's always a problem before you come to the city council. If you have suggestions that you think will help us as council members in the mayor position, come in before that and let us know.
Mr. Ronnie, can I just also, Mayor, I think probably we're at a time in our community where the citizens, we've had emotional issues, they're certainly paying attention. If I could make one recommendation, and I realize the way the council meeting is structured today is within the structure of the Open Meetings Act, but if I could change one thing, I would say, let's look at each agenda item and allow the public to make a comment. I know we have to do business, but perception is right now their voice, nobody's really listening to them or nobody responds to them. So if I could change anything, I'd say invite the community in and change that agenda some so public comment can come in onto the agenda items. Now, you may get so many people, you have to limit the time, or you're going to be there till 2 o'clock in the morning, which when I was with the city of Boston, that was just like marathons at times. But I think we have to change the perception of our community right now that we are listening and that we do want their feedback. And sometimes we're going to have to agree to disagree with them, or that we won't be able to do what they want done today, but we'll take it into consideration. And so I think we've got some emotional situations now, and we just got to go a long way to regaining the confidence of our community. Thank you.
Okay, hold up 1 second, please, before you pass the mic. Because Ryan's not here, I'm just gonna read what he's sending me. This is very hard for me to keep up with the chat, and I have comments coming in. I have questions, just like you just said. I'm reading questions that are just. I'm not even going to put them on the air because they're not well written, and I don't have time to figure out what they're trying to ask. But Ryan is kind of getting ticked, and if I had a bullshit meter, I probably would have to put it up on the screen based on what he's saying. Now he's younger than all of us, right? But here's what he says.
Okay.
Here's what he says, and then you guys can continue passing the mic. He said, we've been doing some research, and I guess you guys have been having some issues with water at some point. And I think what he wanted was what you just mentioned. He wanted the townspeople to be able to get up and speak, not to have all these closed sessions, but to keep control of it, just like we're doing tonight. He said he's basically asking you guys to stop beating around the bush, but then he added, let me just hear. He says, well, I don't know who he was saying was babbling on and about how he was being transparent, but let's see. He says, clearly not, because the citizens are worried about the water, but no one seems to give a flying crap about that, apparently. And then he goes on to say, so I guess they just don't listen. Here's his question. All right. He has another question after. I'll let you guys finish with what you want to go on, because the rest of the people have a right to respond to that. The transparency, if the rest of the panel wants to get into it, but you know what? No, better yet, let me ask this question, then you can finish passing the mic. Ryan says, what policies, procedures, commissioner appointments, and town ordinances will you, if elected or reelected, advocate to be changed, and what changes do you suggest? What is your first priority? There's a lot going on in that question, so I'll ask it again. What policies, procedures, commissioner appointments, town ordinances will you, if elected or reelected, advocate to be changed, and what changes do you suggest? What is your first priority? That's Ryan. He's a pit bull.
Okay. Would you like me to address that while I have the mic and then pass it on?
Sure.
So my husband used to have a saying, start out like you can hold out. And if I were elected mayor, the first priority I would have would be to change the structure of how the council meetings are run today. I would also make sure that appointments, that we have a proper check and balance. I think there's perception that doesn't happen today. Now, certainly, once again, you kind of got to look how boards and commissions are structured by law, but within the framework of the law, make sure that we can demonstrate a proper check and balance. I would also give the community the opportunity to speak. Right now, it just looks like information goes in one way, and that's where it stops. So that would be the first thing I'd do, is change the structure and how the community interacted with us, and make sure we have proper check and balances in place in city government.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, y'all don't leave me out here just.
Ryan's obviously stumping some people here. By the way, Ryan's not finished yet. He's got more to say. Go ahead.
I'll take a moment and just say that I'd like to see that, as Mary was saying, the citizens have a right to voice their concerns in more ways than just at city council meetings, as the mayor was saying. Come to a council member prior to the meetings, let them know what your concerns are, so that they can be, at some point in time, either addressed on the agenda or addressed. At times, there is going to have to be some closed session. You can't discuss everything in open meetings. There's a lot of times that there are discussions within closed session that should be done in open meetings. And I think that's where a lot of the citizens have the concern, is not being able to decipher on the agenda what should be in closed session versus what can be discussed in the open meeting. Everybody has a right to be heard. And policies and procedures, I know that there is a lot of unrest within the employment of the within the employees of the city. Uh, Many of them, excuse me, many of them feel that they cannot speak their concerns without retaliation. And that's got to be
Whoa,
something that's stopped.
really?
So there's a lot going on that needs to be brought to the table so that it can be put to rest.
Can I
And
ask you a question really quick? Break in. What you've been on boards before? Were you on council before at any time?
no,
Okay. What are some ideas of things you would think that the public? I would think the public should be pretty much in on everything. What are you talking about that maybe give me an example of some of the things you wouldn't talk about. I mean, maybe that should go to people that are holding seats but and then I want to hear from the rest. This is really getting good. This is some good stuff.
There's some questions as to where leadership is and why leadership is not available on a daily basis. I think that would need to be clarified and made to where it doesn't happen. We should be able to uh, talk to our leadership each day at any given point in time during the day. And I think that would need to change. More of an open door policy where we can get employees where they can feel comfortable speaking to somebody of authority to correct issues that they might have without worrying about their position with the city.
Thank you. Pass the mic. Who wants it? That mic must be hot or something. Is that mic getting hot, people, or what?
Back to Mary's idea, what you could do is put the agenda the week prior into the paper and on the website and have a comment box in City Hall that all the residents can go in and put their comments for what's going to be going on in the city meeting. That way, if they don't get to go to the city meeting, and it would be nice if we would be able to come up with the money to be able to publish the city meetings over the internet like we're doing tonight live. The city secretary could take those comments, put in each agenda item, and then give it to the council and to the mayor so that they can address some of those thoughts by their citizens each meeting. Also, you could do boards. On every one of your boards, you could put a citizen on there and rotate citizens every 3 to 6 months and have the boards put in the local paper and on the website so that citizens, if they want to go to, say, the EMS board or the EDC board or whatever else, can put their name in there and rotate some citizens through these boards so that they get an idea of how and why the government here in Comanche works the way it does.
First coffee, I was just writing down some of my thoughts, and the first thing I'd like to talk about is maybe some of the things that we could emphasize, and it isn't anything new that we haven't already talked about tonight, but our streets are a challenge. They're in pretty tough shape, and we've been budgeting about $100,000 a year and getting further and further and further behind. So what do we do about that? I think that's something that we have to work on as a community. Mayor Clifton talked about it. We've taken some steps. We've had the city engineers doing some studies. You may have seen some of those counters out at different areas around the community to try to identify the streets of highest need. Some of the streets are to a point. The way we do things, we buy the asphalt or the hot mix, and we put it on ourselves over the top of what's already there. That's essentially what we have the abilities to do. But some of the streets are so bad, it's like that's almost a waste of money now. Some of the streets are so bad, we need to start over as if there's never been a street there. We need to totally take it out and start over and build a brand new street. But that's very expensive. I don't remember just some very initial estimates, but just doing a few streets, you're getting into the millions of dollars very, very quickly. So how do we do that? That's something where we need a lot of input, because who has to pay for that? The citizens in the community. But something has to be done.
Okay, I'm getting comments in. These are just random comments, and they're saying that the people, the chat here on this show, on this live show, he thinks it's bullshit. Pardon my language. He's saying it's bullshit that the elected officials sitting or running will never even read these. Ryan has a few more questions, and then I guess I'm going to put him back in his cage. All right, this is an interesting question. We're going to switch gears just a little bit, and I like this question because it's really not about your town or your woes. But boy, before I go into that, I want to ask you about these roads. I mean, in Pennsylvania, we have potholes that you could lose a car in. Okay. But we have the winters that are insane here on top of the mountain. Okay. We get hot, we get cold, we freeze, we thaw. It's incredible. Is this a situation of kicking the can down the road to last so many councils? What'd you say? Mayors 2 years? Councils? How long is council on for?
2 years also.
Okay, so basically these roads weren't maintained. So now I'm hearing the last gentleman say that they got to be torn up completely and redone. This is what happens in America when we kick the can down the road at any level of government. It has to stop. It has to stop. And I like I can't give opinions. I'll give you my opinions off the air if anybody wants them, but I also have some ideas for your community. I really do. I'd like to be like a cousin city and be on one of those boards. I think I see potential just based on where you guys are located in Texas for tourism. You guys how far away are you from the largest airport? What's the closest airport that I could fly to in Texas that I could be to Comanche in just 40 minutes, maybe an hour?
Abilene, Texas, you could drive from Abilene a little hour and 15 minutes.
Hour and 15 minutes is nothing, especially if you're cold and from the Northeast and you want to get the heck out of the cold. But I want to know though, what the heck caused all the damage on your roads? Is this a highway road? The highway roads that are going through your city, they're taken care of by the state, or
yes, you got two totally different entities there. The highway,
right? I expected that, but I want to know why those roads got so bad. I mean, where did the money go that was collected already? We were robbing Peter to pay Paul. We were taking from one committee budget or one budget to fix another budget. Is that we're putting tape on the dam, right? Like you got to put your finger in a hole in one dam.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just speaking for me.
Right.
Long term, there's the pot of money for the city of Comanche, and it's just been the decision that's been made through the years. We've got this much money to put in the streets, right or wrong. That's the way it's been done.
This is a true story, and this is my mechanic here in Northeast PA. Today, the potholes. I bet you our potholes are worse. I'm just guessing, but maybe not. My mechanic, who's a really good man, solid mechanic, doesn't rip off his customers. He treats you like gold. He doesn't, overprice things. Today, he was riding to his garage. He hit a pothole and it broke his tooth in half. The pain, he said, was incredible. He literally damaged the potholes hurt his face, his look. The community, I don't know. I would love to be on some kind of board, but in my mind, I've been studying you guys. I think you have a beautiful small town. It's prettier than some of the towns I've been in and around the country. So you guys got an excellent start, but there's something about your location that says to me as a traveler, and I've been all over the country, but never to Texas yet. You want to know why I've never been to Texas yet? Because it's so damn big, right? But you guys, if I could get to you guys and go traveling to find the cool spots or go hit the big cities or go maybe see a Dallas Cowboys game or God, just have so many sporting events. But what else can you guys do to bring people to your area? Start running festivals, music festivals, blues festivals, roll up your sleeves and get to work. If you're running for office.
Is being done in the community recently. Our Chamber of Commerce has got a lot of good work going there. There's a good website on Facebook. If you'd like to take a look at it, called Explore Comanche. Has he already looked at that? So I agree with you. We need to do more, but there is a lot of neat things. There are a lot of neat things that have been going on recently. So good suggestions. I agree.
I'm sorry to even have to say it, but I'm telling you, I see potential there. I don't know how you guys ain't seeing the potential of tourism or just people traveling by your small town. Draw them in and get that money from them. Hey, I got a round of applause. I'm not even running for nothing.
I think you even got some high fives.
All right, so Ryan has one more thing to say, and boy, I wish you met Ryan. Ryan's a sweetheart. Come and watch our shows, and everybody loves Ryan, but he's just, he's saying he's not liking how some of you were walking around the questions here. Here's his last question. I'm just gonna call it, Ryan. I'm shutting you down after this question. This is a good one, and I want a short, quick, sweet answer from all of you. It's pretty interesting. Last question from Ryan, my co-host on my show. And he says, I want, he's prefacing his question, guys and ladies, with, I want heartfelt answers. He wants to feel it, in his soul when you answer this question. He wants me to make sure that you know that before I ask you the question. Okay, what is the one singular thing that they are most grateful for in life? Each one of you, what is the one singular thing that you are most grateful for in life? Go.
Set the bar high, but it's easy for me, and that is my wife.
My wife and my kids and the good Lord Jesus Christ.
I have a massive family and tons of friends.
My wife and my kids, even though they live way off, my daughter lives in Nebraska.
Go Nebraska. I've been there.
My family, my wife, my children, two of the reasons that we have what we do here in America. One's Jesus Christ, the other one's our veterans.
Certainly, I'm extremely grateful for my family, but I'm probably most grateful for the fact that I get to live in a country where our forefathers set it up, where we have the ability for freedom of speech, that we have the right to use our religion, and we have the right to vote. And so I'm very grateful that I got born in an era and a time and in a country that I can sit here before you and speak my mind. And for that, I say that's probably the most important thing.
My family, I have family here and I have family in Connecticut. Hi, Connecticut.
We have watchers in Connecticut, a lot of them.
Yes. And actually the community here. Since I've been here, I've met a lot of nice, awesome people. And it's really been a pleasure moving back to Texas.
Yeah. Is that everybody now? Is that everybody?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That was, thank you for doing that. I just thought it was interesting to get I think I know what he was going for there. So listen, y'all agree on everything. Y'all love your country. Y'all love your country. Y'all love your families. All you men up there are whipped by your wives. Good for you. Good for you. Okay. Are we going to get the fire, or what do we have? Fire chief with one question or two?
You got another question, Chief? Well, let's go back to the this thing goes back. All right, Stephen Gillette, Fire Chief.
Hi, Chief.
City of Comanche contracts fire and emergency services with Comanche Volunteer Fire Department. CVFD recently received the ISO 3 that Mayor was talking about. And the state fire marshal sent us a letter saying that, they usually don't see that in a town smaller than about 20 to 25,000 people. So
wow.
With a department that's progressive and thriving in a culture of declining volunteerism, not a whole lot of people want to sign up to do things for free, much less dangerous, hazardous work for free. In a small community, we've been able to create a culture that goes against the grain of the main culture of volunteer in doing that. This is for anybody that wants to answer it. What would you do to maintain that rating, since it is a cooperative effort between city and fire department, to maintain that rating and the working relationship with the CVFD?
Been waiting for that one all night, Stephen. There's a lot of, I don't think I'm fooling anybody by saying that the issue with the contract that Stephen's talking about, now I've been in meetings with Stephen about, I think last fall or last summer, late last summer, last fall, 3 different times. First time I went in to talk with him, I told him, I said, you know, Stephen, you guys do an incredible job in here. He takes me around and shows me that building, and all I could do was say, wow. And I said, you know, sometimes I think we ought to just let y'all have this building. And, you know, it feels like sometimes we fight over who gets to pay the insurance, because the fire department, they keep that thing up extremely well. Second time I went in there, Stevens, we started talking about that. Once again, that place was immaculate. And then Stevens started talking to me about dismantling that building and taking it someplace else, looking at the lot of land. And at first, that did not appeal to me. And I thought, what are we going to, you know, we don't need to take that down. We've got a place here. It's going to leave a blank. And he had a plan for that. And so my opinion that has changed. From day one, when Stephen Gillette started talking to us, from the time I was mayor, I was talking about how do we bring people to Comanche, just like this gentleman was. I said, how do we bring people to Comanche? Stephen, I think, is a proactive young man. I don't think he's a reactive fire chief. I think he's proactive. And he started talking about he wanted to build a training center. He knows, he's one of those guys who's been to the training, and he knows how many people that involved. And so I was very much for that. And so if it ever comes to it, and, you know, anytime you have real estate and it involves what we've got here in the city and the fire department, you've got to have a plan. You've got to show people, like for the city and the fire department, that what we do, if we do something, it's got to be a win for the city and it's got to be a win for the fire department. If Stephen and them had that building and moved it, they moved it out of the middle of town, and if we moved it, made a parking lot there where that's at, you could even, that building that was left, I mean, you could, that could be a center, you know, for people that come downtown. I know we have a Chamber of Commerce where you can get information, but people who travel just in the square, go in there for information. Building that was left, you could even make another point of interest, call it a memorial or a hall of honor for past first responders. I think there's great potential for that. And to me, it'd be a win-win for the city and fire department. I mean, I know that's not going to happen overnight.
Excuse me, Mayor. I'm going to cut you off. I just want to hear from a lot more people on this. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Nobody want to comment?
Oh, please, come on. We got to have somebody to comment.
So it's Mary Boyd. Chief, first of all, I have a golden rule because I've worked with volunteer organizations for a very long time. I've been on nonprofit boards. I know what it takes to make them successful when you're working with volunteers. My golden rule is don't make the volunteers mad, they quit, and then where are we? Our community, whether it's our volunteer fire departments, and I say this, when I say our community, I'm talking about Comanche County. We have many volunteer fire departments within this county. I have to say, the fact that you guys partner and back each other up and your mutual aid agreements are so very critical to this county. I remember vividly the fires that spread across our state and threatened our homes. We have to have those strong partnerships. And with that comes a very high standard of service. You guys have done an awesome job getting that standard, and I'll help you keep that standard. But probably the most important thing to me is us keeping our volunteers. I don't need those folks irritated and quitting on us. So to me, the community in backing you and backing all of the other fire departments is first and foremost. I think it's an interesting concept if we could develop a regional training facility. I mean, I appreciate the entrepreneurism that you're looking at, and as a 501c3, let's go and look at it. That's another opportunity to help offset cost if the city has to cut back funding support. So I will partner with you to brainstorm those ideas, but first and foremost, don't make those guys quit. They're gonna make them mad. Don't quit on us. It's getting really late at night. Did I tell y'all I have to go to bed by 10?
Hey, running for office is hard, people. You raise your hand. You raise your hand to do it. We'll finish up soon. I promise.
I did. It is.
Keep passing the mic.
We're getting mature.
I'm just gonna add one thing here with that being said. We're talking about spending more tax dollars. It would make better sense to make a deal with where they're at, not move. But you wanted to make a regional training center. I think that's an awesome idea. Partner with our surrounding communities and keeping our volunteers trained is awesome. I think it's a great idea. But to move the fire department, I think that's opening up a can of worms we don't need right now, and an expense we don't need right now. I think we all need to sit down and come together. We're a heavy community. Let's just keep it that way. We need to be making more irons in the fire and dusting more feathers. We don't need that. We just need to get together and work together and come back together as a community. And quit separating ourselves and dividing us. The country's divided enough. We don't need our community divided up over this. We need our volunteer fire department. And we need our fire department. We need our police department. We need our roads. We need our sidewalks. There's a lot of stuff we need. We all have to work for that and gain that, but we can't divide ourselves with this anymore. We need to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and move forward, not backwards.
I've just got one little bitty idea. Maybe if we can come up with a junior fire department so that we can have it maybe in our high schools, maybe some of our younger maybe some of our high school students would become more interested, and if they're not going to move away, maybe they would be willing to, once they come of age, to join the fire department and become full-fledged fire department members. They'd already have some training on board, so we may be able to partner with the school to put that in place.
Yes, we started that last.
Did you really?
Okay. Is Ryan still awake? Yeah, I think no, he's still there. He's still going on. He wanted me to let you guys know that I guess how he felt. He was looking for a more in-depth, he was looking for a specific answer. He said he kind of knew going in that you guys all loved your wife and your husband and your family, but he wanted to let me just read this right. He wanted to know, how much do you love yourself? How much do you love life itself? He said the one girl on the panel got my hopes up. I'll have to go back and replay the video because I was too busy reading all these notes and messages coming at me. So one of you ladies kind of almost made him really happy, but I would recommend to everybody running for office to jump into this chat after the live, or maybe tomorrow, watch the whole thing over. And as you see the comments going by, give your community the answers in the chat. This meeting doesn't have to end right now. When does everybody go to the polls? When do we vote?
May 4th.
Okay, my birthday's May 1st. Just a little hint for everybody. May 1st. Okay. Dawson, my favorite color is black and blue, just so you know. Now, I think you guys did a wonderful job. I could go on and we could just keep blah, blah, blah. But I want to just say something here. I think y'all are wonderful people. And I got to tell you, being on the show, I get to meet people all over the world. And I could tell when I'm seeing good people. We are all facing these same concerns all over this country. I want to say something about the fire company because I really got to tell you something. I own a lot of big buildings, and when if they were to catch on fire, I'm telling you what I'm doing is I'm running the hell out of that building. And then these gentlemen and ladies that volunteer, they walk in that building and try to protect my property. I'm sorry, but I'm going to give them a kudos. Okay. I don't understand. I was trying to watch your meetings and I was trying to understand what was going on with, I guess the city owns the land that these properties are on. I would say just hand that over to the fire. Somehow get rid of, just give it to them. Because like everybody said, man, last thing is I really think you should put a board together to look into these firemen testing, or not testing, but schooling facilities, because in our area, there are a lot of fire companies. We probably have a lot. Well, I don't know if we have a lot more than you, but we have a lot of fire companies. Okay. And when they have festivals and they all come from surrounding counties, I mean, from 3-4 hours away, and they all bring their trucks and they have parades, that's a lot of people eating in a small town. That's a lot of money coming to town. There is ways to raise money to build that facility or make some facility bigger, or maybe move the truck somewhere else. But I don't know what's going on with that political football. One more thing, and then I'm going to finish up. It just seems like were you guys looking to get equity from the buildings that they built for a future loan to kind of like push the can down the road? I don't know. I'm not saying that's what's going on, but I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with that. That's all I got to say about that. Lastly, all of you did a wonderful job tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause, because candidates, you guys raised your hands. God bless you for doing that. People who ran before it are still doing it. Here's my last question, and this show's over. It's involving term limits. And then I promise we're done. We're going to stick a pig in it, or stick a fork in it. This pig's cooked. Term limits, real quick, right across the board. How do you feel about them? And here's my feeling. John Adams, the president, what was he, number 2? He came from a farm from up northeast. He went down to Washington, D.C., and he served his country. And he served it during a time where people were trying to kill these men, Revolutionary War people. These guys went to work, did good for their country, and then went back to the farm and went back to their house and their businesses. I think we need more people like that. I think we need fresh blood, young people coming in. We got to constantly refeed it's got to get tilled. So right across the board, last question for tonight. What's your feelings on term limits? And then we'll let Dawson or somebody can end this.
All right. Curtis Stockey, and my quick and brief answer is yes on term limits.
How long, sir? Real quick, how long?
I would say it depends on what office you're talking about. Something like our city council here in Comanche, Texas, 6 years.
Okay. Just kind of tell me also, what do you think about mayor? I mean, give me, as you just go across, last question tonight, guys. Tell me what you think about it for both seats, mayor and council, as you go. And thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. I would keep it the same all the way across. Keep it simple.
Okay, thank you.
Robert Tucker, and I agree. 3 to 4 terms would be the maximum. That way, you've got new blood coming in, and the way it's separated out every year, a new person comes in and end up their term.
As Marla come in, I would have to agree. 3 terms should be the max. That way you do have a turnaround every 3 years. Fresh blood, new ideas, bigger research technology, all of that comes into play in that amount of time.
Jerome Hall, I have no problem with term limits. And I'm probably one of the longest serving guys here. But like I said, I ended up on the city council because the last day to sign up, there was nobody running for one of the places. So I drove in from my spring break vacation to sign up. So if we got people that want to do that, that's fine with me. We have term limits.
I'm the same way on term limits. I'm like Jerome. I'm running for my 5th term, and I will say this: I'm a results-based guy. I mean, I'm from the coaching profession. I'm from the teaching profession, and if one of the my fellow council members or whatever up here is doing a great job. I don't know. It's gonna be hard for me to say you need to quit.
Mary Boyd, I am very supportive of term limits, 2 to 3, 3 max. Staggered terms are imperative because you need to be able to maintain some institutional memory as you move forward. But I think at some point it's time for us to hand it over to younger, or not necessarily even younger. Look at me. But yes, you know, fresh ideas, fresh opinions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Herman Winslet. It's 3 years, I think, is adequate enough. After that, the reins need to be transferred over.
Are you saying, sir, are you saying 3 terms, so 6 years?
6 years, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Hey, I think, once again, Comanche, Texas, you blew me away. I really think you did a great meeting. In our area, security would have been needed to be called. The sheriff's department, the police department, they all would have been responding. So I think I'll close it out by saying I want to thank you for letting me be a part of this. I really wish Ryan, I swear to you, man, these people would have loved to have had you fielding questions with me, but the software is just not working. Guys, I wish you well on your upcoming election. I know it's very hard to do what you guys are doing. It's a lot of work, but you know what? When the going gets tough, and that's where we are in America right now, that's when we're going to see who the real tough guys are and tough ladies. So I can tell you this, and then this is how I'm going to leave you. This is a true story. For forever, I've been in love with Texas. And I guess that's why I eventually kind of met some friends there. And the people I met there are from Comanche. I love the Dallas Cowboys, but not really. I'm a Jets fan. But they're America's team, okay? They're America's team. Everything's bigger. I got a feeling of pride when people talked about Texas, because it said, you know what I'm saying, folks? I got a sense of pride in my heart. And I was thrilled to have you guys as another state that I just looked at, like Pennsylvania is like, if there's a fight, we're ready for it. Let's do this. You guys could do it. You guys are doing it. And this was a great example of it. You're letting the community see what you think. I think you should definitely let your community speak at all the meetings. I think it was Pastor Bob said, get on the list. You guys got to just sit there and hear them out. And then if they're too ridiculous, gavel them down. I've seen the mayor do it. I've seen you gavel people down, Mayor. And last thing, and I'm out. Mayor, I heard you're a Yankees fan. What the hell is up? What's up with that? What the hell is up with that?
They were America's team before the Cowboys were.
Well, I'm going to say this before I say goodnight. Go Phillies, and I'm really rooting for you, Comanche, Texas. I hope everybody makes the right vote on May 4th. Thanks for letting me be a part of this. And everybody, thanks for... Oh, Dawson. Dawson dropped me. Dawson dropped me, Chop. That's cool. I've just got to close out my show for people watching around the country and around the world. This was fun. This was really fun to me. Too bad we had some technical difficulties in the beginning. I think it would have been a lot more polished. But you just watched a town hall meeting, and I think more small towns and big cities should be having them. Get involved in your politics, people. Get involved at local politics. That's the most important politics. And again, if anybody wants my take, I'd really love to talk powwow with you guys. And man, just look at yourselves on that map. I'll show it to you again. Thanks everybody for listening. I hope you'll share this show. This is the Big Daddy Road Show. It's a real talk with Big Daddy. My other shows, folks, really quick plugs. Wednesday night, midweek mashup. It's open mic. I have a cast and crew of interesting characters. Our conversations will go anywhere, and we do not bullshit. We deal with what's coming up. Friday night free-for-alls are for adults only. So I'm warning you, don't come to that show. You were warned if you show up to that. But all my fans around the country, around the world, I hope you enjoyed this. Some of you might be turned off with it. And one last thing before I leave. This was one graphic I didn't get to. You know, I wanted to ask them, does this place exist? Is this an actual place in Texas? And then I'm out of here. It was like, what the hell was it called? The Horseshit Ranch or something like that? Bullshit Ranch. I had a graphic. Where the hell did it go? I'll put it up in after the after the show, I guess. Damn it. But here's the last thing I'll leave you also with. Stop all the hating. Just stop all the hating, America. Get together. We're neighbors. We need to help each other out. This is the Big Daddy Roadshow. This is Real Talk. And once again, thanks to Comanche, Texas. We're seriously over here in Northeast PA rooting for you guys, and we'll be watching the news. May the best man and woman win. Thanks to everybody for watching. I'm going to go grab a beer later. Hey, Nancy, did I forget to thank Dawson Hicks? Damn it. You know what? I almost forgot he was in the room. Poor guy. Hey, prayers out to my friend Dawson Hicks. He's going to a specialist for his throat, and supposedly they're the best in the country. Everybody say a prayer for my friend Dawson. He did a great job. Dawson, you rock. I mean, for what little bit of tools you had there, we eventually made it happen. The second half's better than the first half sound-wise, but regardless, I think that's where the good stuff was anyway at the end. Thank you, Nancy, for pointing that out. I appreciate that. I love my brother Dawson. He's cool. He's a big part of my show. He comes on. He's hilarious. He's a character, just like everybody on the Big Daddy Roadshow. Good luck, Comanche. I'm out.